Hey, everybody. Welcome to the weekly Chaos Clip. I am Ray Gagnon, the Chaos Coach, and today we're going to do part 2 of last week's human nature class. You might remember last week I covered the idea of why we don't follow up, why we don't stick to our guns, why we don't follow through on our commitments, or why we don't do the things we know we need to. And I talked a lot about human nature, and I talked about, how that manifests and how the 5 N's, right, feed that. And it's human nature. It's something that's natural for us. Today, I'm going to cover the second half of that class, which is the 5 R's, and they go hand in hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the 5 R's, and then I'm going to show you how the two go together and how they're used together. Because the other thing that I'm asked is not only why, right, or why we don't follow through, but I'm also asked how in the world we build habits, right? Because part of following through and sticking to your guns and seeing things through, getting what you want out of life has a lot to do with building habits, has a lot to do with following through with your habits and fitting things into a busy schedule and fitting things into your life that weren't there before. So we're going to cover the 5 R's that go with the 5 N's and talk about how they work together so that you can develop the skill of what I call creating a habit at will. In other words, you can create habits on demand, right? And not just, I got to work on a habit. I got to get it. I just got to do this and hope that you build the habit. Nope. We're going to actually build it by on purpose and on demand. So let me go on over to the Chaos Cave. If I can find the right button here, there we go. And I believe it's going to take us there. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so you might remember last week we talked about human nature, right? We talked about having a vision. What's a vision? A goal, right? It's a vision, it's a goal, it's a dream, it's something you want, it's something you desire, right? It's something out. I want a new house, I want that motorcycle, I want a new body, I want a new discipline, I want a new business skill, I want whatever it is I want, right? Is part of the vision. Then we talked about how that vision is a novelty, right? In other words, wow, I want it. It's something that's, I got to have that. I got to have that new house. I got to have that. I got it, whatever the case might be, right? So we have the novelty of the vision, of the dream, of what you want. Now, here's the key. We normally, if this vision is to be time tested, it has to be something that serves you. But it has to be something that helps you expand or move your life forward, right? If your vision is to have an awful drug addiction, right, then that's probably not going to move you forward. Right? That's usually not how we dream. It's usually not how we find things we want. We usually end up there by default. Today, we're going to learn how to build habits by design, right? So we have novelty. From novelty, we move to new, right? And we talk about novelty being the business, with new being, you got to take that new novelty, you got to take that thing and get it into a schedule, get it into your life, right? You got to do that enough to where it becomes normal. And then you have to master that normal. You have to make sure that it stays. You have to make sure that it sticks. You have to master that. If you do that well, sooner or later, because it's human nature, you're going to end up with becoming numb to that vision, becoming numb because now you've accomplished it, right? And when you become numb, what we talked about last week was developing the skills or knowing that that's the time to make something new again, instead of just dumping it. Because the next thing is you end up with neglect, right? And that's when you end up drifting off. It's when you end up not having that discipline, not having that habit, not having that new routine. Or what happens is you neglect the shiny thing that you want. You neglect your motorcycle, and you neglect your cabin, you neglect, the new car, whatever the case might be. And then it just becomes another piece that, got to get rid of it. It goes away, or it degrades in value, right? So the key to success with this is that when you feel yourself becoming numb, right, after it's normal, actually between normal and numb, before you become numb, as it starts to become normal, you would actually find a way to make it new again. And that's how you retain it. That's how you advance it. That's how you expand it. I'll give you an example of this that most of us can relate to is a new workout, a new gym exercise, or a new gym, routine. It's a novelty. I want to build the body. I want to have this. I want to have that. I want to have those muscles. I want to be in shape. I want to lose weight. Whatever the case might be, it's new, right? So because it's new, you put it to a new schedule. Then you make it normal, right? Which means you master it. Then what happens is you start to get bored with it, right? Because you're not building muscle anymore. You've already mastered it, right? So you're already in great shape. You've already reached that point. Okay. If you allow yourself to start to go numb, it'll become boring to you, which means you'll stop doing it, which means you'll fall out of practice. You'll fall out of the mastery and end up in neglect. So the key is when it starts to become normal, right? You turn around and you go, okay, I need to increase my reps. I need to increase my weight. I need to add more exercises. I need to I need to train for a competition. I need to create something that makes this normal new again. It makes it a novelty. Now, the 5 R's, right? The 5 R's are reasoning, routine, ritual, rhythm, and random. Okay. So reasoning, how does that work? Well, you have this vision, this dream, this goal, right? Something that you want. And the first thing you're going to do, this novelty, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to reason it. Your mind is going to say, okay, how bad do you want it? Your mind's going to say, how expensive is it? Your mind's going to say, how much time will it take? Your mind's going to say, where does it fit in the routine? You're going to try to talk yourself out of it. Your mind is going to reason it out. And if in fact it actually sticks and it makes it through the reasoning thing, that's something, then at that point, it's something you might do. It's something you might follow through with. Okay. Then what happens? Well, it becomes new because you've reasoned it out, you've taken it on as a novelty, and then it becomes new. So we have vision becomes a novelty. Novelty gets reasoned, right? And then reasoning becomes something new, right? So now it's something new, which we already said. New is we have to put it to a schedule, aka a routine, right? When we have this down, okay, it's new, it becomes a routine. Now that if it's a routine, that means that I've fit it into my new calendar. I fit it into a new schedule, right? I have actually given it a schedule, and now I have to do it, right? I have to figure out how this thing works. I have to start getting to the gym. I have to start doing, the things I said I was going to do in order to obtain this vision, in order to realize the novelty, right? So then what do? I get it to a routine. I have to do it. I start doing it every day, going back to the workout example. Now I start actually working out, right? And I start working out every day and working my muscles out. My body starts to change and all that good stuff, right? Well, then what happens? Well, because I've made it a routine, it starts to become normal. Now, here's where we talked about we have to master this, right? We have to make normal mastery, right? Because otherwise it'll drift off in the numb. So how do we master it? Well, that's the next 3 steps of the 5 R's. We master it by going from normal to ritual. And now some of you might say, well, Ray, what's the difference between ritual and routine? Routine is something that you have to do, right? A ritual is something you get to do. A ritual becomes a part of you. You have mastered your routine, right? You've mastered the normal, and you've mastered your routine so much that whatever it was you're doing, it becomes a part of you. You can't live without it. It becomes part of your fiber. So again, going back to my exercise example, at this point, it's one of those things where if I get up in the morning and something gets in the way of my routine, something gets in the way of my working out, it hurts me. It bothers me. It irks me, right? It's like, oh, I didn't work out today. It's like, oh, I got to do this, and I got to figure out how to fit it in. That's my subconscious mind telling me that I have to do that. That's not me going, that's my routine. I'm going to have to do that. No, that's how you know it's a ritual and not a routine, is when it's in here, when it's in your fiber, when you've got to do it, right? Now you know it's a ritual because you've mastered it as normal. Now from ritual, we can go into rhythm. And what do you mean by rhythm? Well, because you've added something new. And what I always teach is that we taught that you have health, wealth, and self, the 3 categories of life. I've always taught that you want to tackle one of those things each time if you're trying to expand yourself, if you're trying to grow, if you're trying to increase your power and capacity. So if you have one vision or one dream or one goal in health, and one in wealth, and one in self, right? You got 3 new ones that you're plugging in. Well, that means you've got 3 things to go into a routine. You're hopefully going to build those things into a ritual, of course, if they serve you, right? And you're going to build them into a ritual. Now you got to find your rhythm. You got to figure out, where does that ritual fit? When I first started my physical fitness, going back to a physical fitness routine, when I first started my physical fitness routine, I tried doing it every morning at 8 o'clock. And what I found was 8 o'clock wasn't good. My mind was already on business things. My emails were already fired up. The phone was already ringing. People were already texting. No good, right? So I had to find a spot for my routine. I had to find a spot where it fit, right? And that was my rhythm, right? So I get up. So now I'm in the gym every morning at 6, right? Why? Because my physical fitness has become a ritual. I've mastered it. And now I get to do it. I actually get to do it. It's something I want to do. It's part of me, right? I can't go without it. It's in my fiber. Well, the rhythm is how does that play out, right? Where do you put those? What time of days? How do you figure out the schedule so it flows, right? In the Marine Corps, we used to call it cadence, right? So you flow with it. You have a cadence, right? And it's effortless because it's a ritual. And now your subconscious mind is telling you it's something you have to do. It becomes a part of you. If you skip something, I drink a green drink, I drink greens every single day. And I have to have them in by 10 o'clock. If I don't have them in by 10 o'clock, something in my head goes, Ray, you missed your greens, right? And that keeps me from missing them. But it also, I'm not consciously doing that. That's my subconscious mind, because I've got a rhythm and a ritual that are so tightly wound together that I automatically go into that mode. See, in the routine, I might have forgotten them because it's just part of a routine. It's just part of, I'm still mastering that. I'm still trying to figure that piece out. When it's a ritual, that means it's a part of me. That means my subconscious mind won't let me forget it, won't let it go away. Make sense? And then the last thing is we have randoms. And those randoms are those one-offs. Those are the things that pop up in your world, the emergencies of your life, the things that happen that throw your schedule completely off, that for a moment look like it's throwing your rhythm way out of whack, right? For a moment, it looks like that, you know, it's going to break your day or whatever the case might be. Randoms are something that when they pop up in life, if you've got if you've got your rituals and your rhythms and your routines working for you, because you'll always have routines. You'll have things in a routine that will never become a ritual, right? Never become a ritual. That's okay. They're a routine, right? But you'll have routines, rituals, and you'll have them all in a rhythm and you'll be in flow and then something will happen. Okay. And this is all about having the skills to deal with the unexpected, having the skills. And if you're balanced in everywhere else in health, wealth, and self, if you've got good routines, good rituals, and good rhythms going on, when those randoms pop up, you have more power and capacity than you've ever had to handle them. And so basically, what am I talking about? When you do this entire process, you're creating habits by design, right? This is on purpose. This is not by happenstance. This is not, well, I'll try this out and I'll fit it in my routine. And if it sticks, it'll become a new habit. No, this is, hey, I'm going to take a novelty and I'm going to reason it out. I'm going to reason it out, and then I'm going to make it new. And then I'm going to make it a routine. Once it's a routine, I'm going to normalize it by mastering it. Once I've mastered it, it's going to become a ritual. I'm going to do it to the degree where it becomes a part of me. In the meantime, before anything goes numb, I'm going to make sure I keep adding to it if I have to. If I start to get bored with it and it gets numb, then I'm actually going to make it new again by changing it, by stretching it, by expanding it, whatever the case might be. Then we're going to actually get to a rhythm, right? Where we can actually have a flow. We can have a cadence. Things start happening effortlessly. And of course, that gives me the power and the capacity to handle any of the randoms that come up. Folks, that's the second half of that class. How do you create? Notice I didn't say build or anything. Create. You create by design, deliberately, your habits that make you successful, your habits that will lead your life. So as always, listen, if you liked what you heard, let me know. If you didn't like what you heard, let me know. Share it up. Feel free to comment, add to, subtract. Let me know if you've tried any of this stuff, if it's worked. Let me know if you think I'm full of it. Let me know if you think it's good stuff. Whatever the case might be, share it, like it, do whatever you got to do in that social media space. But please add to the conversation, right? Please, you know, go ahead and tell us what you think. Right? Go ahead and contribute to the conversation. This is all about helping us all, right, grow and expand and find that magic in life. So guys, that's all I got for you. Again, this is Ray with Chaos.Coach, and I do this because the world is in chaos and I am a coach. Goodbye, guys.